For over 50 years, the Basque Center has stood at the corner of 6th and Grove, inviting Basques and the community to what is known as the Basque Block. As an important part of historic Old Boise, the Basque Center's unique Baserri-style architecture and the lively events held within have attracted locals, tourists, and dignitaries from all over the United States and the world. For many, the Basque Center is more than a building on a corner in downtown Boise. As home of the Basque Club Euskaldunak, it has been a place for its members to come together to eat, play cards, dance, and meet on a regular basis. Not only is it a place for people to gather, but a personal part of people's lives and cultural identity.
This Basque Center is the core of the Basque family unit. I mean, this is family. This is like our home, our children. The Basque Center is home to every immigrant that's come, and their children and their children's children, and it's the heart of who we are and what we are.
Historically, the Basque Center, for me and for generations of Basques, in this location, starting with the fact that our fathers dug the foundation by hand, it's been a really integral part of my life.
It was built in 1949. I was 9 years old at the time. No, 10 years old.
The Basque Center is a prominent symbol of the active Basque community in Idaho today. But with a look at the past, one can see that the center had a humble start.
Well, we saw a garden and a vacant lot and a Basque boarding house.
Is that right?
This is what was on the corner at that time.
As kids, we used to come over here and play in the dirt where it said, you know, keep off the property because you might get hurt.
The parcel of land on the corner of 6th and Grove served as the garden to the Uberuaga boarding house for many years. Next door, Jose and Hermenegilda Uberuaga owned the boarding house that provided a home away from home for many immigrants from the Basque Country who came west and worked as sheepherders. As families grew and more Basque moved to the area, the Basque community launched events like the Basque Picnic and Sheepherders Ball to get everyone together.
Most of the families was after World War II, and young families were growing. Children were appearing on the horizon, and to follow on with our customs, we'd either have to get something involved the children, and then the children involved the parents. So that was our motive of trying to get this Basque Center originated.
In 1949, Euskaldunak Incorporated was formed. John Bastida was a founder and the first president of the organization.
We looked at a lot of properties around town, and as far out as Warm Springs Avenue, Aldapi Heights, and some of these other areas. But after debates among ourselves, we wanted something was in walking space if downtown.
Also in 1949, the Uberuagas sold the land of their little garden on the corner for $8,000 to Euskaldunak.
That was the beginning of the beginning.
But we knew that it was one of the things, if we wanted one, we were going to have to build it.
But it wasn't easy to start a Basque Center in downtown Boise. Money was a real issue. Most of the funds were raised with personal contributions and bonds. Even though funds were tight, the need for a gathering place pushed the project through.
We built the first half of that Basque Center. We built just the little meeting room upstairs and the bar. It wasn't even white, it was mostly a cinder block color.
Oh, really?
Well, we went to time without even any tile on the floor and down in the basement. I mean, we didn't have that much money coming in.
Our parents worked their fannies off to chip in whatever little money extra money they had to build this. Once the building was constructed, that's when the culture started to really come together. We had a place of our own. We had a home of our own. And since then, it's been nothing but wonderful.
The construction of the Basque Center ushered in a new era of Basque culture in Boise. Basques had a place to come together, and the center created many new opportunities, like the Sheepherders Ball, monthly dinners, and card playing. Basically, a place to call home. The Basque Center became a more prominent part of all Basque activities. For many members, some of the most memorable moments of their lives have happened in the Basque Center.
I recall Basque dancing classes at the age of 5. with Juanita Ormachea, and then with Oinkaris and dinners and sheepherders ball. Even my wedding reception was here 35 years ago. So it has been just kind of at the center of the activities of my life since I was old enough to even recognize it.
And now our children's generation of dancers are bringing their children down to go through the same programs that they did.
The Oinkari Basque dancers have been using the Basque Center to practice traditional Basque dance for over 45 years.
I really got a lot of self pride of myself by coming to the Basque Center and being really active here.
Al Erquiaga was one of the original founders of the Oinkari dancers and understands the relationship between them and the Basque Center.
I think if it wasn't for the organization, there wouldn't be no Oinkaris today, at least not as we know it today.
Since its inception in 1960, the Oinkari Basque Dancers Organization has given hundreds of young Basques the opportunity to meet others and a way to get actively involved in one of the strongest Basque communities in the United States.
I think the young people, as they go into Oinkaris and stay there for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever they do, I think they build a self-pride in their culture, and that turns them right into Euskaldunok members. And I think it's a great opportunity for both of them.
Without the Basque Center, I wouldn't have had one of the best experiences of my life of going over to the Basque Country and living there for a year, of trying to learn as much as I could about, dancing and music and dancing theory, and now, experiencing every Sunday. Another awesome part of my life has been Oinkaris.
We're having a place where we can practice Basque dancing in a Basque cultural site, I think is huge. Giving kids a safe place to come, a safety net of a group and a membership. They have 65 other brothers and sisters.
And we have a lot of kids in Euskaldunok in these dance classes, and that's why part of why we're talking about needing a larger space. And because with more kids, you get more members. And I think that's what we need, because that's our future members.
And if dancing is the catalyst that keeps someone active, then by all means, let's try to use that. If it's a language class, whatever it is, if the Basque Center and this downtown Basque block can help that out, then that's only going to enable Euskaldunok to thrive.
Boiseko Gazteak is a group of 140 to 160 children, depending on the year, and they range in age from 4 to 14.
New Basques are moving to the Boise area every year, and many Basque Americans are raising families with a focus on preserving their heritage. Just like in 1949, Basques are finding themselves short on space on their little corner on 6th and Grove. One example of this growing need is the group of young dancers, Boiseko Gazteak.
We've grown. Every year we've grown. Coming on 10 years, we have kept the numbers up through the parents wanting to keep the children active in the group.
Linda Baranaga has been the director of Boiseko Gazteak for the last 10 years. She's seen firsthand the increase in numbers and knows what it means when managing that many little ones.
In the basement of the center, we have our 6 and 7-year-olds. And in the museum, we have our 4 and 5-year-olds. In the frontone, we have our 8 to 11-year-olds. So in these 4 groups, we have, between 140 and 160 children.
The founders of the Basque Center and Euskaldunok wanted to create a place where families could come together and celebrate their Basque heritage. It could be they did too good a job. The current facility can't hold the number of children and parents at practices on Tuesday nights. And Linda doesn't see the growth stopping.
But our numbers never seem to go down. Our numbers are staying up, and I would imagine they'll stay up.
But you don't have to go to a dance practice to see the effects of growth in our community. Many people who try to rent the Basque Center for events like fundraisers, dinners, and weddings throughout the year are turned away because the building is already booked. The need for more space is a familiar theme to members who've dealt with it in the past and understand its importance to the future.
They have about the same kind of a problem with them. If you don't expand, they'll die on the vine. This is important if we're going to succeed in progressing with our expansion of the Basque people.
My hope would be that if I'm ever lucky enough to have grandchildren, that the Basque Center would be available for them to have the same kinds of wonderful experiences I've had here all my life. I would love to think that they would be able to start as little kids dancing, learning the Basque songs. They would have those experiences beginning as children, and that it would be here for them all their lives too.
If it does have for any other kids that it did for me, then this building is well worth its while.
Oh, I think it's incredibly important.
As members, it is up to us to maintain the culture and traditions of our ancestors. By doing so, we provide a foundation for our children for generations to come.
I feel that this has always been the heart of the Basque community, right here, in this little square block.
This is the place we come to. This is our home. This building has been incredibly important, and it will be for, I say, for generations more to come, providing that we can adapt it to all the needs that we have currently and in the future.
If there's any way that we can expand the building, it's worth it for us. And I think it should go on for generations after we're gone. Don't you think?
I really agree with you.
Absolutely.